Saban or Kirby Smart just reloading.
Yeah, he has not earned the point where you're just like, oh, yeah, they lost 8 guys to the NFL. They're fine. Now
Don't worry about Sark. He's got somebody.
Yeah, that's why
we did that for Saban and Smart, and we did it for a reason.
I will stick by this until Texas doesn't lose 1 or 2 games.
Welcome in, Braves Country, to another edition of the Pennant Grace. Coming to you from 2 different locations, one from the Pennant Grace studios and the other from the plains of Auburn. And partner, if you can't play good, you might as well look good.
Absolutely.
And this episode is sponsored by Roback. E.g., what happens when you go to Roback.com?
So the cool thing about Roback.com, you look good, you play good. We stand by that. You pick what you want, whatever you want. You use the code PG20, and that saves you 20% off your order at Roback.com. We love them so much.
I am going to buy some Roback for the entire Atlanta Braves roster. So that takes care of the good portion of the show, and now we get to the bad. So if you're joining us live, the Atlanta Braves, you have a conflict. Do you want to watch the game? Do you want to watch us? You want to watch us. It will save you from the 7-0 in the top of the third drumming that Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves are enduring right now. So, E.g., you and I are positive people. We've talked about that a lot on the show. We are glass half full people.
Yep.
We're optimists, but we're not delusional optimists. There's a difference, right?
There is a difference, and it's very good to clarify that because the title of today's show on the thumbnail is Have the Braves Hit Rock Bottom?
Let's hope so. If it's not rock bottom, then I hate to see what rock bottom is. We're going to get to that actually a little later as we look towards the schedule. And so let's talk about this Brewer series that the Braves are in the midst of trying to get a win out of it and avoid the sweep, which is not going well, as we discussed. Game 1, by the way, the Atlanta's find themselves now at 60-53, 7.5 back. E.g., they got to as close as 5.5 or 5.
I think it was 5 games, and the issue that sticks out to me the most was that could have been chopped down to. We could have been 3 games out of the Phillies.
Yeah,
3.
So it's amazing, we talked about momentum and how would the Braves handle the momentum. Not well. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they've lost 4 games in a row, and they're on their way to losing their 5th in a row the way this thing is going on. They're now behind both Arizona and San Diego in the wild card, and they're only a half game up on the Mets. And again, they're getting drummed right now, a half game up on the Mets. Behind the Diamondbacks, behind the Padres in the wild card, and a healthy 7.5 game lead now again for Philadelphia, who maybe felt just a little singe of that, but not much. And I don't think there was anyone in that clubhouse that was panicking over this.
No, and the word panic is interesting that you brought up. So the Phillies actually beat the Dodgers last night. I'm not sure what the final score is. I want to say 7-4, maybe 8-4. Not good for the Braves, of course.
Right.
It feels like the Braves have forgotten that the postseason is now more in question than ever.
Yeah.
Half a game ahead is not going to do it. The Braves schedule is still favorable the rest of August, but it doesn't get easier after that. You have to make up ground where you can. And what did we say, though, partner, about these games? they weren't gimme games, even though the record-wise they should have been.
No, they're not at all. So that game one, I don't know what you say about that one. Just an absolute drumming, 10-0. Poor Bryce Elder, who I've defended on the show, was absolutely awful. 6.52 ERA now for the season for Bryce. That was terrible. I mean, it was just awful. Now Milwaukee's good. I mean, that's get that out of the way. So the Braves are playing. It's a combination of the Braves playing poorly and Milwaukee, who is a very good team, a lock in the playoffs, playing well. And so does that alleviate some of our pain? I mean, no, but when you've lost 4 games in a row, nothing's going to really alleviate your pain. So Milwaukee has played well in this, but that was just an absolute beatdown, nothing to see. Last night, a better game, and Atlanta hung in there in that one, but still takes the 5-8 loss in game 2.
Right. And one thing that stuck out to me the most was Snit finally gave an emotional response I think all of Braves country was waiting on and looking for, but it seems like it's too little too late, in my opinion. Yeah,
so some differences also for those of us viewing the games in the booth. So game 1, Outcast night, you had Big Boy from Outcast joining the broadcast booth with Frenchie and Brandon Gaulden. E.G., kind of before your time, do you have a favorite Outcast song, by the way?
Hey y'all.
Hey, look at you. So I'm not a big rap guy. It's shocking to everyone, but I did love rap as a young person in high school and in college. Outkast, one of my favorite in that genre. If I had to pick one song, that's really tough to do. But A.T. Aliens is a really good one. I could go with that. Elevators, Art of Storytelling. Last night, say it again.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
There you go. That's what we do here when we celebrate a win. Last night you had the 4-man booth. You had Chipper Jones, Jeff Francoeur, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. So that was fun. At least it was fun to listen to them as you take the loss in that. I'll say one positive thing is this just becomes negative Nancyville. Austin Riley had a really good game. He's 2 for 4 with a home run, a double, a walk, 3 RBIs. He scored 2 runs. He's playing very well. Had a really good game. That's all I'll say positive about it. No balance.
That we've talked about, he needed to turn a corner. And I feel like it's been quiet these last few weeks about him just because the Braves momentum shifts have been so here and then here. But even over these last few games, Austin Riley has been someone that's been reliable, and we have not seen that out of him this entire season, truthfully.
Yep, that's true. So that's good to see him step up when needed. I wish he had some other guys joining him. Jorge Soler, defensively in the outfield, what are your thoughts there?
I don't want to say he's a liability yet. Last night there was an error. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was ruled an error that did not help the Braves in any way. But it's just hard because I feel like the people who were saying the Braves are just waiting on their guys to come back, these were some great moves. The holes in the roster, both offensively and defensively, are glaring at this point.
Right.
And we've seen that more than a few times with Laureano. Now Soler. We love Soler at 100%. I would like to see him be the caliber of player we know he can be, but I think last night further solidified that our roster it's not complete.
And he's a guy, he being Jorge Soler, never known for his defense, obviously, and has been used more as a DH in San Francisco. Obviously, Marcell Ozuna has that locked down in Atlanta. But he hasn't been just, tearing it up in that regard either. And so, yeah, it's just nothing really panning out there for them. There's been a lot of talk about that, and some moves have been made. So on the pitching side, right-handed pitcher Parker Dunshee. I believe I have that right.
What do you know about him?
Well, that's of the Newport Dunshies, I believe. Parker Dunshee is the number 14th ranked prospect for the Braves. He's 29 years old. Like I said, he's a righty. This would be his major league debut. So whenever we see him coming in, that's going to be his debut. He's got a 2.3 ERA in 47 innings. That's back and forth between triple and double A that he's played in. So he's played well. I think it's a good opportunity to get him a look there. Dylan Dodd goes back down to Gwinnett. That's the corresponding move there. Also in the outfield, we see Eli White coming back up, and Eddie Rosario was designated for assignment. Not surprising.
Not surprising. I think, though, that is going to be a big story for Braves country. There's been so much movement lately, and it feels like you're just trying to plug holes. It's like the Titanic's going down, and you're just trying to, I don't know, preserve anything that you can. And so that's why we're seeing so many moves being made. There's also this factor when it comes to pitching of saving Chris Sale, right? So first game of the series, he got an extra day of rest. Awesome. However, when you lose that game 10-0, what was it for? Then game 2, you have a good game.
Yeah.
Yet you're can't produce. So it's still resulting in the same thing. We're seeing so much movement, but we're seeing the same pattern there, and that's what's confusing me.
Yeah, that's one thing you pointed out, how frustrating it is to see these Chris Sale starts get wasted. And that's not something you ever want, for sure.
No, and we continue to talk about how good the Braves pitching staff is, and the stats line up, guys. This staff is incredible. But no one gets to see it or really believes it because of the record that the Braves have right now.
Yeah, and it was not a good night for the bullpen. It's not been a good series, obviously, for the bullpen either. But that bullpen's been stretched, right? They've been worked pretty hard. The Ronaldo Lopez injury does not help that one bit, for sure. Eddie played 24 games with Atlanta in his return. The sequels usually don't turn out as well. You do have the exception to the rule. The Empire Strikes Back comes to mind, but most of the time you get Speed 2 Cruise Control. Eddie Rosario's return to Atlanta is Speed 2 Cruise Control. Hey, instead of a bus, we're on a boat this time. Yeah, not good. So in those 24 games, he had 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 154 batting average.
This is the thing, unfortunately. To me, when you look at what the rest of the lineup doing, it's like, it's not that bad. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
Compared to, and that is so crazy we're saying that. He didn't do much at all, but outside of Marcell Ozuna and now Austin Riley, Matt Olson we saw flashes of, no one is producing.
Yeah.
And Eddie was just, I guess, short man on the totem pole, but it's not surprising, but that 154 ERA, I feel like that's par for the course right now with the Braves.
Parker Dunshee, when will he get his shot? Right now. He's in the game right now pitching for Atlanta. Just finished up that third inning there. So Parker Dunshee gets called up and immediately put in. So coming up next is Colorado. Always the tricky thing with no matter what the record is of the Rockies is you're playing in Colorado, right? So that never gives you just the utmost confidence. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
Yeah, just a different kind of place. Those game times, and we have no pitching matchups listed yet for either team. Those game times, Central Standard Time, 7:40, 7:10, and 2:10. So that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. This road trip, I want to talk about with you. I think it's pivotal. And you've mentioned this. You've been looking at this road trip for a while and the importance of it. Before we get to that, real quick on Colorado, they're 42-73, 4-6 in their last 10. This is not a good team. They haven't been good all season. You've talked at length about Atlanta and bad teams and not taking care of business against bad teams. Here is this road trip. So you're at Colorado for 3, at San Francisco for 4, and then in Anaheim for 3, and then you have a day off. Which that'd be the 19th. You come home and you've got that massive, maybe not so massive series against Philly and then the Nationals at home. If the Braves don't take care of business on this road trip, it is most likely over for Atlanta, in my opinion. Is that really that hot of a take? Probably not.
No, I don't think it is because we're midway through August almost. I mean, I guess we're not. It's the 8th. It feels like we're midway through August.
Yeah, so it's the 8th, but I mean, once that road trip is done, you'll be, past the midway point.
Exactly. And I think that final series with Philly, that holds so much still because either the Braves are coming in and they've taken care of business and we can now gain ground on the Phillies, or it's a kick in the teeth. We're so far out of contention because we couldn't handle the Rockies. The Giants are not a bad team, though. They're not bad. I mean, honestly, at this point, I feel more confident about a win there than I do with the Rockies or the Nats. But I think that it's now or never. We've been saying this since April. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And there's been time. Unfortunately, we're getting to the point in the season, time is running out.
Yeah.
And either things start gelling now or there's no October baseball for the Braves.
Right. I've said all along, my prediction is Atlanta is a wild card and gets bounced in the first round. I'm going to stay with that. But it's a very, very real possibility that Atlanta misses the playoffs. And they've put themselves in a position, EG, where they're not controlling their own destiny. A lot of this depends on what you see from Arizona, from San Diego, and from the New York Mets.
Yeah, that's a great point. The Braves are so used to being in the driver's seat of the division for the last almost decade at this point. They're not in that role anymore. And I'm interested to see, I'm going to look out for another player-led meeting in the next 3 or so weeks, because I think that will be very telling about what the heart and soul of this team is. I don't want to say it feels like anyone's throwing in the towel. We say on the Pennant Grace all the time, there is no one that knows that team better than the players and coaches and managers themselves.
Right.
We cannot protect inside that locker room. We are not going to draw conclusions based off what we see during a game because that is so little of the chemistry, the environment, etc. However, with that being said, it would be really encouraging to see kind of a bolstering moment from this team to go on a run that's longer than 2 games.
Right. It just felt so in grasp there for a moment, and to see that gone and to be here in the position we are today talking about the team the way we are, it's disheartening. It's been really frustrating for a fan base that has been spoiled, from that division win in 2018 on, the success, including obviously a world championship that the team has endured. And I think it's a great point by you. They have been used to being in that driver's seat, but you when you relinquish the reins of a division, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to not being able to control your destiny there, because these other, even if you play better than what you're playing now, these other teams that I just mentioned are very capable of playing at a level above that and knocking you out.
Yeah, and when you have been such a juggernaut like the Braves have, and since 2018 specifically, weakness is never a good sign for the team that loses their strength.
Right.
Because what that shows is that they're not the same team that they were. Now, you can make the argument in 2021 when the Braves won the World Series, they were 10 games back from the Mets. That is a completely different situation.
Agreed.
And from my now,
yeah,
it feels a lot different. The injuries, I guess at that point, Acuna was out, but it feels different. It feels like literally since April that the Braves have been clawing from behind this entire season. They'll get right in striking distance. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part, is that for 2 games, it feels like normal. And I think that it's hard to accept that this season just is not what it was expected to be. And I'm thinking about the series that they did in January and February. I guess it was February, March, April of the spring training behind the Braves. And the energy coming out of spring training was World Series or bust.
Yeah.
World Series.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. You look at that team to now, night and day.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see going into next year. Let's say that the Braves either fulfill my prediction and they get bounced early, or they don't make the playoffs at all. What is the energy like when you're coming in? First off, who's coming in? Is Max Fried in the Braves uniform? I don't think he will be, but you're going to have Ronald Acuna Jr. and Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies, and you're going to have all those guys there. What will that team do to reset? You could see a really fired. There's always another side to the coin. You could see this really disappointing ending if they go that route, leading to a really fired up, motivated, ticked off Braves team with something to prove next season.
Well, I think it's interesting you bring that up because I have said this. You guys can go back and watch previous episodes. I think the woes for the Braves, quite frankly, started last playoffs, and I don't think that they've been overcome yet. I stand by that statement. Against the Phillies in the playoffs, it did not go well, and I don't think there has been a true reset moment. I want to believe that if the Braves don't make the postseason, that this will be the true reset, and come March when we see them in spring training, it'll look like a completely different team. But to me, I felt like the embarrassment was last season, truthfully. I thought that was a horrible way to exit. Seriously, to the Phillies. Ew, come on.
And it does feel like it carried over. If I would have told you last Thursday, a week ago, that we could be looking at Game 1, Phillies at Braves, August 20th, being meaningless, that would have shocked you. You wouldn't have believed me, right? And the possibility is there that it might. Now, I still holding out hope that the Braves do have a good road trip here. We're going to flush this Milwaukee embarrassment, and they're going to get it back on track on the road, play well on the road, beat teams that they should beat. They are still better than the teams, and all three teams they're going to play on this road trip. And they actually come in with a little bit of gas, and there's some intrigue to it. But if they don't, that series is not going to have juice to it.
No, and it's going to be really sad when we're sitting there wishing that this was to be, 3 games back. Well, let's actually think about this. If the Braves go on a heater, they could catch the Phillies depending on, well...
No, it's possible. I mean, it's
possible.
Yeah, it's not likely, but it's possible. Again, I think the race for Atlanta, and I'm not pulling for depending on who they're playing, I'm not pulling for like Philly to lose. If they're playing one of these, if Philadelphia is playing San Diego or they have the Diamondbacks coming up. If they, I'm pulling for Philadelphia in that. The Braves need to be concerned with these other wild card teams, the Mets, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres.
I 100% agree, and it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show of it feels like no one's really paying attention to that. Like, let's wake up. There are teams that are on your heels, 2 that are ahead of you, 1 that's a game or half a game back. You have no wiggle room anymore. And you're not even controlling your own destiny with the division. You're not even controlling it with the wild card series.
Right.
If I said those words this time a year ago, you'd think I was crazy.
I would. Yeah, I would. So a lot can happen in a season, and a lot has, and it hasn't gone the Braves' way, so we'll see. So that's what we've got. We've got the game going. It's 8-0, the bottom of the third right now still. Milwaukee, and then you've got these 3 series, a 3-game, a 4-game, a 3-game on the road, then the day off, and then you got Phillies and Nats. Win or lose, we love the Braves. We're going to be supporting them regardless. We're going to be looking our best regardless with Roback. We are going to be saving money regardless with Roback. Roback.com. Go to checkout and enter that code PG20. PG20 is going to save you 20% on your order. You can't beat that. We've got our big party next a week from today. That is at the Walk-Ons there in Stadium Trace in Hoover. And partner, you and I are going to be there looking to connect with some of our Pennant Grace viewers.
Yes, please come out and see us. We would love to chat about the Braves. Hopefully we are singing their praises and we've had a start to a successful road trip. But please come out, hang out. We would love to see you. Monday, we will be back as normal, 12:15. Next Thursday as well, 12:15. Thank you guys for being flexible with us. As we've been off location, we've been on location, but we're still getting it done because we love doing this show, and hopefully we are talking the Braves well into October.
Any plans while you're still there in Auburn as far as anything to eat or drink before you head back to town?
Well, let you guys my view right now. I'm about to head.
There it is.
There's Jordan Hare.
There it is.
I'm about to head in to chat with the offensive coaches. So there was no practice window today. That's in about 20 minutes. I'll head down. I will go get a Tumors lemonade. I get the peach Arnold Palmer. It is incredible.
Yeah.
A large. I take that all the way back to Birmingham with me. Probably grab some lunch, maybe some Taco Mama. We'll see. But as of right now, I will go talk to some coaches and then hit the road.
Cherry lemonade for me is my go-to at Tumors, and you cannot make that long. That for whatever reason that drive feels so much longer than it is driving back from Auburn to Birmingham. But you can't make that drive without a big cup there from Tumors.
I totally agree, and I will be enjoying. I'll send out a picture of my Tumors after this.
We like it. All right, folks, we'll be back regular time on Monday, 12:15 Central here on the Pennant Grace. Let's see what happens. Let's see if the Braves can kind of get it together as they go on the road. Maybe being at home didn't serve them well, and they can kind of find what they're looking for on the road. I'm grasping for anything I can find here, but we'll continue to cover this team, win or lose. We're not fair weather, EG. We're going to be here regardless, right?
We are not fair weather fans. Make sure you're following us at the Pennant Grace on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to keep up with us there. We would love to hear from you.
All right, Braves Country, thank you for being with us, and we will see you Monday.